One of these men has come 10,000 miles to meet a famous person he rescued almost 18 years ago. What is your name, please?
My name is Reg Evans.
My name is Reg Evans.
My name is Reg Evans.
Only one of these men is the real Reg Evans. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Joyce Davidson, Don Ameche, and Betty White on To Tell the Truth. And here sitting in for Bud Collier is the star of Player Hunch, Merv Griffin.
Thank you. Thank you, darling. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice to be here again. Tonight also the welcome mat is out to a star of Canadian television who's making one of her infrequent appearances on American television. Joyce Davidson, I hope this evening turns out to be a very pleasant one for you.
Thank you, Merv.
Feel
I'm
all right?
enjoying being an immigrant.
So far?
Yes.
Good. All right. My friends, panel affidavit time. Please follow along with your copies of this affidavit as I read it. I, Reg Evans, during World War II, worked for Australian Navy intelligence. My job was to sit on an island behind the Japanese lines and report by radio on the movements of enemy ships and planes. One day I received word that the crew of a sunken American PT boat was stranded on a small island nearby. Natives brought the skipper of the group to me in a canoe. I offered this officer immediate rescue, but he preferred to stay with his men. By radio, I arranged for them to be picked up by American PT boats. I have not seen this American Navy officer for more than 17 years. I will meet him again this week in the White House in Washington, D.C. His name is John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Signed, Reg Evans. Panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be Reg Evans, who helped rescue President Kennedy from a Pacific island. Let's start the questioning tonight with Tom Poston.
Thank you, Merv. Mr. Evans, number 3, maybe you can tell me in radio parlance what FM stands for.
Frequency modulation.
Number 2, what is VHF? You happen to know?
Not familiar with that.
Number 1, did you know what VHF might
Very
be?
high frequency.
Number 1, do you also know what UHF might mean?
Ultra high frequency.
And number 3, which of these is connected with radar?
Ultra high frequency.
Number 3, what is the ceiling in a naval vessel called?
The ceiling, I know what the ceiling means. It doesn't mean the ceiling, it means the walls.
Number 1, what...
Sorry, Tom. Joyce Davidson?
Mr. Evans, how many men were with him? I'm sorry. Number 1, how many men were with President
How many men were?
We're with President
I understand there were 11.
How many men were with him, number 2?
I understand there were 11.
Number 3, where was he at the time?
At what time, please?
At the time that you rescued him.
Well, he came to me. And I, at that time, was on a small island.
Number 2, what was the name of this island?
Go move.
Number 1, what was his rank?
Lieutenant.
Can you take that?
Yes, indeed. Number 2, what island were you stationed on?
I was stationed on Kolombangara.
Number 3, what group of islands is that in?
Now, that is in the Solomons.
Number 1, what shape was President Kennedy in at the time of your seeing him?
A tired man, worn out and weary physically. No sign of any actual physical damage there.
Number 2, how many days had he been away from his party, his group, on the rescue work that he was doing?
This, I'm not sure of. I understood it to be maybe 2 or 3 days. He was making frequent trips, trying to get messages out here and there.
Number 3, what natives were on this island on which you were stationed?
Well, the Solomon Island natives. Solomon Islanders.
Number 1, what natives?
Sorry, Don. Betty White?
Thank you, Merv. Whichever one of you it is, you'll be happy to know when you do meet him, he has a good job now. He's working steady. Oh, is he working? Number 3, is your home in Australia?
Yes,
Where?
at a place called Bendigo.
Which is where in Australia?
That's in Victoria on the Goldfield. It's one of the twin cities of Bendigo and Ballarat.
And number 2, where is your home?
Mackay,
And that is located where?
Queensland.
And what is the general topography of Queensland, wet or dry?
Oh, it's dampish.
And
There goes the signal, panel. It is now time to vote. So without consultation, mark your ballots and select number 1, number 2, or number 3. The team of challengers will get $250 for every incorrect vote. Are all ballots marked, panel? You've made your decision? All right, Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1 with a certain small reservation. When Don was asking him if Lieutenant Kennedy was well and hale, he said except for physical exhaustion. As I recall, he injured himself on that in the back or something, but maybe I still voted for number 1.
Joyce Davidson.
the smallest 3 I've ever seen.
Is that a 3?
Yes. That's a 3. That's a Canadian 3. I voted for number 3 because he knew the islands, the Solomon Islands.
Don Ameche, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1,
Is that a 1?
Merv.
That's the biggest one I've
I don't know. I thought his answer sounded the most, or at least he had the most correct answers in my opinion. I don't know very much about the Solomons, as everyone probably knows by this time, without my saying that.
Betty White?
I voted for number 3. I didn't get a chance to ask number 1 where he was from, but I don't think Australia could ever be described as dampish. Lots of other ways, but I don't think dampish. Watch me be wrong.
Panel, you're divided tonight, we can see. So I think comes the time now when we find out which one of these 3 gentlemen is Reg Evans. Will the real Mr. Reg Evans please stand up? Thank you, Mr. Evans. Number 2, will you please tell us who you really are and what you do?
My name is John Knife. I'm from the North Shore Country Club in Glen Head, Long Island, where I'm a golf professional.
And number 3, you, sir, are...
My name is Frank Whitley, and I live on Park Avenue, where I'm a building superintendent.
Well, there's been a total now of 2 incorrect votes, which means a total of $500 from Salem. And on your way out, gentlemen, there's a carton of Salem's for each one of you. Our thanks and good evening to you. Incidentally, Reg Evans' appearance was arranged with the cooperation of Cavalier magazine. You know, lots of people can take horses or leave them, but when it comes to colts, well, that's a bit different. Now, you have our next team of challengers, please.
What is your name, please?
My name is Peter King. This is my brother Richard.
My name is Richard King, and this is my brother Peter.
My name is Peter King.
My name is Richard King.
Double exposure time here, panel. Please follow along as I read this affidavit. We, Peter and Richard King, are high school students. We were recently the winners in a most unusual contest. It involved 74 sets of identical twins from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We won the contest and are now the Bat Boys, that's B-A-T, Bat Boys, for the new American League baseball team, the Minnesota Twins. Signed, Peter and Richard King. These 3 sets of tin twins claim to be Peter and Richard King, Bat Boys for the Minnesota baseball team. And panel, let me suggest you address your questions to either Peter or Richard in each case, calling the number first, of course. And we'll start this cross-examination with Joyce Davidson.
You're pretty crowded over there, aren't you? Number 1, Peter. How many teams are there in the league?
Which league?
The American League.
There are 10 teams in the American League.
Number 2, Richard. Richard and Peter, I can't tell you apart. How do you get to be a bat boy?
Well, there was a contest, and in a Minneapolis paper we read that there would be a contest, and we went for the interview. There were 74 sets of twins. They cut it down to 24, 4, and they finally arrived at us.
Number 3, Peter. What does a bat boy have to know?
Well, a bat boy's job is to take care of the bats during the game. They have labels on the bats.
Labels?
Labels for the different players, so we know what bat is to each player.
Don, thank you, Merv. Peter, number 3. Who are the 3 home run hitters on the Twins?
Killebrew, Allison, and I think Batty.
Richard, number 1. What is Ramos' first name?
Pedro.
Peter, number 2. What was the score of the opener in New York?
5-3.
Peter, number 3. How many hits did Ramos give up in the first game in New York?
Ramos?
Yes. How many hits did he give up against New York?
4, I think.
Number 1, Peter, number 1, how many hits did he give up?
I don't know.
You're murder, Don.
Betty?
Number 1, Richard, what does take 2 and hit to right mean?
I do not know.
Richard, number 2, what does take 2 and hit to right mean?
I do not know.
Number 3, Peter, do you know?
Take 2 and hit to right, take 2 strikes and switch hit to the right. Hit the ball to the right field.
Thank you very much. Number 2, Richard, there is another new team in the American League this year. What is it?
Los Angeles Angels.
Number 1, Peter, who is the manager of the Los Angeles Angels?
I do not know.
Number 3, Peter, who's the manager of the Los Angeles Angels?
I don't know.
Number 2, Richard, what does charging the ball mean?
Charging the ball, well, it depends on the fielder, but it's a bunt, and the fielder would charge in and grab it, run in and grab it, and be a slow ball hit to a fielder.
Tom? If I said Richard, number 3, who would answer?
I would.
Would you please answer a question for us?
I would.
Who is the manager of your team?
Mr. Lavagetto.
What's his first name?
Cookie.
It's his first name?
Yes.
That's not a nickname?
No, it's his first name. Cook.
Peter, number 1, do you agree with that?
No.
What's his first name, Peter, number 1?
Harold or Harry.
Richard, number 2, who hits the most home runs for the Twins?
Harmon Killebrew.
And who is second for your team?
Allison, Bob Allison.
The bells are ringing, panel. Once again, it's time for you to vote. No consultation, please. Just mark your ballots and select Twins 1, Twins 2, or Twins 3. I guess that's the way you phrase it. Panel, your decision's made. Everybody mark the ballots? All right, Tom. Who'd you vote for?
I voted for number 1. I guess I should put 1 and 1. The number 1 set of twins. I forgave them the lack of information on some questions, which you will remember, because maybe they haven't been bat boys very long. But I voted for them on the basis of Mr. Lavagetto's name.
Joyce Davidson?
I voted for number 3, 3 and 3 again, because they knew what take 2 and hit to right meant, and I didn't know that, and also the care and feeding of bats.
Your 3s are getting better, too, Joyce.
It's an American 3 now.
That's all right. Don?
I voted for number 3. I'm afraid this is real guesswork. Ramos actually, they came the closest on. Ramos actually pitched a 3-hitter, and I said a 4-hitter, and it was he blanked them. I know that. I think the score of the game was 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think I asked number 1 very many, so I don't know. Yes.
Betty White?
I voted for number 3, and I voted for number 6, because on the strength of take 2 and hit to right, although the Cookie Lavagetto threw me a little, but they just look like such ball players. They're not going to be bat boys forever. They're going to be ball players.
Well, it's almost unanimous. Minds are made up, and now comes that moment when we find out which one of these 3 sets of twins are the real bat boys for the Minnesota baseball team. So will the real Peter and Richard King please stand up. And they're just busting, I can tell. That's a lot of money. All right, Twins 2, would you tell us one at a time who you really are and what you do?
My name is Michael Jackson. My name is Alfred Jackson, and we are students at Davidson High School here in Manhattan.
Number 3, do you have the same last name?
No, we don't.
You don't? What is your real name?
My name is Ron Kenny.
My name is Bob Kenny. We are students at Northern Valley Regional High School in Demorest, New Jersey.
I guess I don't have to tell you that there have been 3 incorrect votes for a total of $750. That's a lot of bats, isn't it? That's from Salem. Of course, our thank yous to all of you boys, and good night. You know, for most people, the peak of springtime comes with the flowering dogwood. And here's a film that's caught the dogwood at its... Let's have our third team of challengers, please.
What is your name, please?
My name is Vivian Surratt. My name is Vivian Surratt.
My name is Vivian Surratt.
Panel, please listen while I read this affidavit. I, Vivian Surratt, am a professional photographer with an unusual specialty. My clients are cattle breeders, and my subjects are some of the nation's top cows and bulls. My photographs appear not only on the desks of the proud owners, but also in sales catalogs and cattle journals. To my knowledge, I'm the only woman in the country who specializes in livestock photography. Signed, Vivian Surratt. Now, all 3 of these charming ladies claim to be Vivian Surratt, cattle photographers. So, panel, let's start the questioning with Betty White.
Thank you, Merv. Number 1, Miss Surratt, there was a picture that broke in the news, I believe it was a week or so ago, of a little boy with his champion steer that won a championship in the livestock show, and he was in tears. Did you see that picture by any chance? What kind of a steer was that?
It was a Hereford steer.
And number 2, did you see the picture?
Yes,
and
that's what it was.
What was the follow-through on the story? Did you by any chance see the follow-up?
No, I didn't.
Number 3, why was he in tears?
I didn't see the picture.
Well, shame on you. Number 1, where's the King Ranch?
In Texas.
Number 2, what was the follow-up on the little boy's picture? You didn't see that. I asked you that. I'm sorry. Number 1, what was the follow-up?
He cried, so the buyer of the steer gave it back to him.
Number 3, what would you define Santa Gertrudis as?
I don't know, Senator Gertrudis.
Number 2, do you know?
Yes, that's a crossbreed between a Brahma and a Shorthorn.
And number 1, what would you say it was?
She's right.
Oh, you're a big help to me.
John Poston.
Number 2, what is a hock?
I'm sorry, it escapes me.
Do you happen to know number 3?
Well, I imagine it's the hoof of the animal.
Do you know what number 3, do you know what a brisket is?
Oh, yes. A brisket is the upper portion of a steer or cow's body.
Number 1, how does a Brahma differ from a Durham?
I don't know about a Durham.
Well, let me ask you, number 1, how do you measure camera's speed? In what increment? What is shutter speed measured in?
The f-stop.
Joyce Davis.
Number 1, what is a Hasselblad?
I don't know.
Number 2, what is a
That's a camera.
Number 3, what size of a camera is it?
I don't know. I didn't get the first question.
What is a Hasselblad?
I don't know.
Number 2, what size of a camera is it?
A Hasselblad is a 35.
Number 1,
I don't know.
what is the top cattle journal in this country?
Well, there are several leading magazines.
Number 2, in your estimation, what is the top cattle journal?
Well, American Breeders' Journal, I would say, has the most circulation.
Thank you, Merv. Number 1, what is a he-calf called?
A bull?
And number 2, what is a she-calf called?
That's a heifer.
Number 2, how long ago did they make the combination of Brahma and Shorthorn to produce the Santa Gertrudis?
Not too long ago, I would say within the last 30 years.
Number 1, where is your home?
Baxter Springs, Kansas.
And number 2?
Glendive, Montana.
And number 3?
Hurley, Wisconsin.
Where?
Hurley, Wisconsin.
There go the bells, folks. Time once again for you to vote. No consultation, please. Just mark your ballots and vote for number 1, number 2, number 3. Everybody mark their ballots? Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 2 on the basis of her answers.
An excellent decision, Tom. Joyce Davidson?
I voted for number 2 on the basis of Tom's questions. And also because she knew what a Hasselblad was.
Don?
Yes, I voted for number 2 also because she knew what a Hasselbrat was. I thought that was a sausage or something like that.
And Betty White?
Well, oddly enough, I voted for number 2, not only because she put me out of my misery on Santa Gertrudis, but because she comes from Montana, the most beautiful state in the whole 50, I think.
No question about this one. It's unanimous for number 2. The votes are all in, and now let's find out which one of these 3 ladies is the real cattle photographer. So will the real Vivian Surratt please stand up? Number 2, will you tell us who you really are and what you do?
My name is... My name is Pat Fulford Mullen. I'm a writer. I do a humor column for Writer's Digest called Cartoonist Cues, which I tell people how to be funny for money. And I'm from New York City. I've never been in Montana in my life.
My word, what a biography. Number 3, I love you. Just a little something I thought I'd add to the show, you know.
He's my husband, and I'm Mrs. Merv Griffin. If anybody...
Thank you, Julian. As long as I'm sitting here, I guess it's within my power to give you twice the amount of money you won tonight. The producer's running out. I better not. A total of 4 incorrect votes. Julian, remember the community property law. You will get, of course, $1,000. And from Salem Cigarettes, there is a carton of Salem's for each one of you. I'll take half of those, too. Thank you very much, and good evening. Time's up, my friend. Joyce Davidson, we hope you've had fun here tonight.
I don't know yet.
You'll recover about a half hour from now, I have a feeling. Of course, our very special thanks to Betty White for being with us for the past 6 weeks.
It's been fun, Merv. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Kitty Carlisle will be back next week, and of course, Bud Collier will be returning. I must say that I've certainly enjoyed hosting, to tell the truth. And until tomorrow morning on Play Your Hunch, panel, I'd like to say goodnight to all of you.
Good night.
You've made it very easy for me. Thank you.
Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. This is Merv Griffin saying goodnight from Salem Cigarettes. And as Bud Collier always says, remember now, the truth will out. No, tell your friends the truth. Or, mwah!
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
The name in our mailbox is Porter.
To our friends, we're Pete and Gladys.
And we're at home next on most of these stations.
Drop in.